I have these two wraps are loose, so I need to deal with them, the center fold and the one after that. These can be removed with hit method. So you get, that's like a lever and you just pull it out, right? And these staples are rusty, so I don't know if they need replacing or we can get away with doing rust removal on them as well, so we'll see. Okay, both staples can be now removed easily from this end, and we can evaluate the interior. This is the top staple. So now the wraps can be taken apart and we can assess the rust migration better on this book. There's definitely rust migration there, guys, which we can treat with evaporust. All the wraps so far, yes. You get here, it's not bad. Here is bad. Here it needs it. So it looks like all the wraps need minor treatment with evaporust to get them back in shape. And then we'll test the pH on the cover or the centerfold. A couple of wraps maybe we can test the pH on, and then decide on the next steps. So I'm going to start with spraying this with just overnight tap water. Let it penetrate this layer, the back layer, and then what I'm going to do is measure the pH of the juices that emerge. So we'll do the back side as well. This is the splash page I'm doing. And Wonder Woman is already in a fight mode. Look at her, right? And there's bondage and everything. This show is rated PG, so I'm not gonna go there. Okay, so we're gonna let this sit and penetrate. It's not very wet right now. It's just, I would say, moist, and so you don't see any water dripping anywhere really. So it's pretty good. So I have the strip, and I'm gonna put it on and see what we get for a pH. Wow, that's pretty acidic. Looks like pH 5. Pretty acidic. All right, so now that we know the initial pH, let's call it pH 5, we're gonna go ahead and treat the rust migration on the top staple and the bottom staple. And now we're gonna need to spray it more heavily with water. So what I do is I use water initially, and then I lay the evaporust on top, right? That's how I classically do my rust removal from the paper. Although probably if the pH of the paper and the pH of evaporust are the same, about 6.5, it would be best for the action of the evaporust. I should try that, right? Here I have my calcium hydroxide solution. I'm going to spray both sides. Let's do it now quickly. So it is between 6 and 7, you see that? So it's very classic kind of neutral solution, which is nice, which is good to know, right? I really smell the acid here, so I'm gonna just flatten it. This is about 10 minutes later. And then what I'm gonna do is blot it dry with absorbent pads, right? These are like paper towels except thicker, and they can absorb a lot more water liquid. And this way we can measure the pH again and assess it and see what it is. Let's hope it's close to what we want, right? Yeah, it's right spot on, right? Like right between 6 and 7. So I want it to be this way, right? So I have evaporust here. I'm going to just brush these areas with evaporust. And then place the paper towels directly on top like this. And we'll brush these again with evaporust. And then I'll turn it over and do the same for the back side. So we're not done deacidifying the book yet, but I got the pH to be around the pH of the evaporust before I get going with the deacidification baths. How long this is going to take to work depends on the severity of the rust migration. For these, it looks like excuse me, it might take a few hours at least. You can see them here better, right on this side. So I brush with evaporust and then place the strip directly on top. Brush them with evaporust. Let it act on the rust. All right, last thing I do typically is I cover this with a wet paper towel and let it incubate a few hours. All right, I let it sit overnight and you can see everything is dry now, which is like, I didn't want it to dry. Yeah, this is also dry. So it's overnight, like 9 hours or so. But you can see the black color is gone, right? Some red remaining. That red, I might be able to scrape it off. Let's see here, on this the other side. And yeah, just the red, which is difficult to remove, but the black color is totally gone, right? Which is nice, good to know. So all we need to do now with this is give it an immersion bath in calcium hydroxide, fix the tears that it has with Tengujo tissue, and proceed with the other wraps in a similar fashion. Right. See, there is a color coming out, so this, the acid and dirt is being washed out, definitely. Right. All right, I have it out of the bath and I'm gonna dry it and measure the pH that comes out from the wrap itself. So we had one application of the calcium hydroxide solution initially that elevated the pH, and we had let's see what the pH of this is going to be. Let's take a look. It's about 6 actually, right? So still acidic. All right, so we're going to do another bath with calcium hydroxide diluted solution, and I'm going to measure my solution to make sure it is alkaline first, just in case. Sometimes, you know, these things, if you have them sitting at room temperature for a week or so, they're no longer the pH you want them to be. So I have a saturated solution here. This one should be pretty alkaline. As you can see, it is. That's the stuff I used, right? What's the pH of the actual solution? Like 12, right? 12, 13, in that range, right? That's a concentrated one. Let me make a 1 part calcium hydroxide to 4 parts water and see what that pH is. I'll be right with you guys. So the pH of the diluted calcium hydroxide, 1 part calcium hydroxide to 4 parts water, is going to be, let's find out, alkaline. What's the pH there? It's like 10 or 11. I would say closer to 11 than 10. All right, so this is the dilute solution. This is what we're going to be adding to the wrap now, next. And I'm going to do a bath and see what happens afterwards. I'm going to do 3-minute bath and see what happens. So stay tuned for the 3-minute bath, you guys. Solution. And let it marinate there for 3 minutes. I don't want the alkaline to go above 8.5 pretty much. I want to keep it in that range. I'm going to do another wrap just to make sure my methods are not variable for the wraps, right? So let's flatten it, let's dry it, and let's measure the pH. And see what the pH of the wrap is. Now, this method works well, I think, given the limited equipment we have, but you need to have wet paper to be able to measure the pH. There is no way around it as far as measurements of pH go. And shout out to Jerry the Jitterbug, who thought of this method and who demonstrated the method in one of his videos. And it's really important to do, I think, for each book you're working on, just to standardize and see what you have to do for the book. Yeah, it looks pretty good now, right? pH wise, this is about 8. Look at that. So I'm good. I'm satisfied that it has been deacidified and there is an alkaline reserve in here. We'll let it sit for a second. I'm going to go ahead and fix the tears and things of that sort. Stay tuned for that, guys. Very prominent here, you could see it, and then here, so we're gonna brush it with the nori paste. This area also, this whole thing here, right? This area here. this first here. Big piece. And then we'll do this here. And we'll do, this is interesting because it goes this way and this way, so you have to do it in two different directions. Let's see if this one big one will cover everything. It does. Right? So these are the three main ones, and then I'll do the others in a bit. And then this. And then we'll cover it with Remay. This will be pressed.